Well, the new solar systems that the cities are paying for, that the feds are paying, subsidizing a discount for you to get, hook into the grid. And then
I'll give you an example. My brother Mark is mayor of Anchorage. They have a municipal light and power. They bought gas rights from Shell Oil. They bought them out at the Cook Inlet gas field they own. So the city bought the gas rights for $1.40 per 1,000 cubic feet. And what is it today? $13. And so the ratepayers are paying this incredibly good rate in the municipality of Anchorage for power, 7 cents, I think, the kilowatt hour, on natural gas.
You're paying 1/13
to buy it.
You're paying 1/13 with what everybody else pays, and the media calls that subsidized. No, that's what it really costs.
Yeah, that's actually what it costs, and the city was smart enough to buy those rights in a commercial market. He wanted to look into selling them, right? He wanted to sell them into the marketplace, because then he could retire all the debt for the city, because it's gone up in value so much, and have a debt-free city. And the Utilities Commission won't let him do it because the ratepayers will pay too much, which I can understand too. But it's on balance. It's an interesting mix. But
here we go. We're going to skip the break. Here we go.
May I have everybody's attention?
Doc, we're going to come back and take everybody's phone calls for folks that are patiently holding. And I got so many calls here on screen.
We got to do this more often, Alex.
Oh, you bet. We got so many calls here on screen, John. Just re-input them so I know who's who or who's hung up.
Okay, yeah, just close your window.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you, sir. Doc, we are continuing. There's still a lot of people listening in this behind-the-scenes discussion. I just skipped some of the breaks now that we're streaming this live via prisonplanet.tv for the members. And then also people listening for free on the internet at Infowars.com. Let's start getting into the global warming fraud right now in about 3 minutes.
Right.
And then because obviously there's climate change going on. They're manipulating the weather. Obviously there's real environmental crises. But even if you believe that carbon dioxide is causing warming, which the evidence shows it's not, their solution would ship all production to the third world with no controls and would actually boost, I've seen the studies, boost greenhouse gases. So even if you don't debate it and say it's real, their solution's a fraud, and they admit now you will buy the carbon tax credit from the private central banks, making them the world government.
Right. This is, it's really nature. And you can look at, there's a great BBC special on this that was very well done, laying the case. And we've said it's solar energy that contributes to the changes on the planet. And other conditions, undersea volcanics, that also contributes. We published that back in the mid-'90s. And eventually you'll see that. It is really not man making this happen. It's nature. We did a video on this. I think you guys carried it. The Earth changes the ripple effect, and the subtitle is Alaska Sounds the Alarm, because in my lifetime, I'll be 50 this year, and in my lifetime, I've watched our glaciers recede, disappear up here, because it is getting warmer, but not for the reasons that are posed in the mainstream media. And the other issue is, when you talk about no regulation outside of the country, you're absolutely dead on right. In fact, if the U.S. stopped everything, just shut down the whole thing today, it wouldn't matter one iota, because China and India will surpass whatever we're saving within a year or two of stopping everything, and that's not realistic. The other issue is, what we're really more concerned about is the toxins that are being put into the environment, and those are legitimate concerns, but the greenhouse effect is a natural phenomena, largely the excuse of taxing everyone, and basically the globalists are looking at it from this perspective. They had 300 million people to test out how to create into marketing, consumers and taxpayers, and forget that we're human beings. And now they want to experiment with that on 6.3 billion people they would like to catch up. And the money and the resources and the government.
Tell you what, stay there. We're coming back to the full audience. Recap that thought and continue. Here we go. Dr. Nick Begich is our guest. The website's Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We have links up on Infowars.com to his websites. You can go to EarthPulse.com. That's EarthPulse.com. And he has some others as well. We carry quite a few of his books and videos at Infowars.com. So be sure and check those out on the online video and bookstore. Your calls when we start the next hour, we're going directly to all of you that are holding patiently. Mason, Rusty, James, Paige, JD, thank you for holding. We're going to get to you. During the behind the scenes, for folks listening on the Infowars.com screens, I brought up global warming. Obviously, it's been every angle of science. The hoax is hundreds of thousands of scientists say it's not man-made, that it's natural. And then they've got a few hundred the UN hired who are quacks that say it is man-made, and we were just going over that. Now, are there real environmental things? Absolutely. Are we in a lot of trouble? Absolutely. But the globalists are just offering you a tax that will actually increase greenhouse emissions, even if you capitulate and believe the fraud that it's man-driven, when the UN's own report says 6% of the greenhouse greenhouse gas emissions are 6% of the increase in temperature. But, Doctor, you were talking about why they're doing this, coming in, trying to block a renaissance, an excuse to bring us into a new technological dark age.
Yeah, I think that's really what it is about. You know, the fact that they want to keep us dependent until the last drop is drug out, but more than that, it's the wealth transfer. It's the markets that that are seen as 6.3 billion people try and catch up with what America has built, and for that to happen, America has to lose. We have to be decapitalized. The money has to go out of this country to somewhere else. So
they won't catch up. We're going to be lowered down to their level,
yep.
And they even say that on NPR, like it's wonderful.
And the fact that, what we saw here, people don't realize, like, the coming banking crisis, which we haven't seen the beginnings of yet. And here in Alaska, when oil went the other way, when it was like $8, $9 a barrel in the mid-'80s, people don't remember it. It took a big drop. Well, here in Alaska, 1 in 3 banks failed. 1 in 3 went out of business. 1 in 10 homes went into foreclosures. The bankruptcies were off the charts. And when we saw that happen here, and what it did, and then the roll-up, because businesses have been here 50, 60 years, were caught in that trap. As housing developers defaulted and contractors defaulted and their subcontractors defaulted and then their employees defaulted, and people fell all around us. And that has not yet happened to the country for the opposite reasons, because oil now is, $130, $140 a barrel. That impacts. We are all counter-cyclic. Alaska's an oil state, so when oil's high, our state thrives. When oil's low, we suffer greatly because 85% of our revenue stream is oil-driven. And when you start to look at the national resources that are being auctioned off today, in the case of one of the big ones that just went off in northwest Alaska off the coast, that auction brought $2.5 billion today at oil at $140 a barrel. Prudhoe Bay, with 1/10 of the projected reserves, brought in $1 billion when oil was $3 back in 1969.
Okay, Doc, stay there. I want to finish up with that when we come back. We're about to start the 4th hour. We're going to go to your calls, but stay there. Before we end this hour, I want to encourage everybody to go to Infowars.com, link through on the bookstore and video store shopping cart, get the DVD, Angels Still Don't Play This HARP DVD, the latest info on HARP. Also, we have his mind control video, his energy video, books. We've got all his best stuff at Infowars.com. This is important material that needs to be seen by everybody, so please go to Infowars.com and get Angels Still Don't Play This HARP. You've read the book. A lot of you will get the video. It's powerful stuff. Get the mind control video as well, where he goes over all the admissions of what they've gotten. Later I want to speak some about that. Also want to get from Dr. Nick Begich his take on where the economy's going and how bad he thinks it will really get. But first, we're going to take about 30 minutes of your phone calls when we get back in just 70 seconds. Stay with us.